Hi students, now coming to the second video, that is the SBL paper structure. And students, as I told you, this examination has changed compared to the old diets. So students, if you observe, the paper structure now is very different and it's easier compared to the old one. So I will firstly itself write it down easier. The reason is this will help you to improve your confidence level. Now, students, if you see the new SBL examination, there are only three tasks. Task one, that is the first question. And then, students, you have the second one, which is the task two. And then, students, as you know, there is task three as well. And then, students, just to keep you updated, each task will effectively have exhibit. Now, students, as I already told you, this is a presence of mind exam. So, students, how much ever we do in the class, what matters to you is how much you are relaxed and composed in the exam day to understand the exhibit. Now, students, if you have a very good memory power, still there are chances that you may not pass. The rationale behind that is the memory is not tested in the examination. Here they are testing your decision making skill for a particular situation. So there can be around, if I'm not mistaken, there can be around 4 exhibits in total. So students, just remember this is the fundamental factors that you have to recall. So in the examination, you may not have any much challenges. And students, they are not technically focusing on whether the student is able to memorize things specifically for this paper. So there will be tasks, and students, you have to understand the task relationship and the connected exhibits. And to be honest, students, certain exhibit will have part A, part B. So in that case, students, you can connect it together. Now, students, since all the exhibits and tasks are independent now, it saves a lot of time for the students. Now, the next thing the students needs to understand is the paper. Now, the advantage of this paper is very simple. You are not going to write for 100 marks. 80 marks only you are going to effectively write for. And that 80 marks, although we call it as technical skill, I can effectively say it's application, students. Although the examiner says it's technical skills, the correct term can be application, because students who has passed this SBL or who has experienced this paper will know the reality of this. So I will write down here, students, that is technically the application skill, and I believe that is very, very clear for the students. And the advantage of this examination is 20 marks is effectively provided for professional skill. 20 marks is effectively provided for what skill, students? Professional skill, which I will be explaining in another video as well. But remember, students, you are only writing 80 marks only. And the duration for this examination now is 3 hours and 15 minutes. The reason why they are giving is the reading time has reduced. And if you observe the old questions, you have to do the pre-seen material in the exam. But now the industry knowledges are given before the examination. So just understand the logic, students. You will get an exhibit, you have to understand and write it specifically for the exhibit, because that is what is effectively needed in the examination. I believe that everyone has got this understanding clearly, if I'm not mistaken. So students, moving on to the detailed understanding in more technical aspect, what I have to effectively say is, after you are aware about this paper structure, again students, I am repeating the same thing. Whatever said and done, these are the predictable areas. For instance, students, task 1 will definitely have an exhibit which will have an appraisal. Now students, appraisal means there is a business opportunity and you have to invest or you have to recommend. So you have to give an idea whether you have to recommend or not to proceed, or sometimes there will be verbs like advise as well. So appraisal, for instance, students, invest on a new business project. So I can generally say it will be like the ANSOF, students. Now, if you see ANSOF matrix, you have the 4 options, right? If I'm not mistaken. What are the 4 options in ANSOF, students? It's very, very easy. That is just a quick summary of that, so that your mind will be very much at ease. So if you see, students, the ANSOF, we have the 4 options, right? Product development, market development, penetration, and also, students, if I'm not mistaken, diversification. So I'll just write down here product development. Then we have something called the market development. Then students, if I'm not mistaken, we have the penetration, and then we have something called diversification also. So just remember students, that is very, very important, but no need to remember and so. They will give a scenario touching the ENSOF, which you have to appraise whether it is suited or not suited. And your logical thinking is very, very important. And you have to be skeptical also. Then students, the other area that they always test is a very simple area, which is the risk. They will give you a risk that the organization is facing, and they will be asking you what are the mitigation strategies we can have. And also students, they may ask you another questions on contingency planning as well, because that is also very, very essential for the students. And then students, just to make your life very simple and easier to understand, is sometimes they may ask questions on internal controls to prevent fraud, everything. And again, students, the biggest mistake they students do is they write down technical models like Tara matrix, which is not relevant, students. You have to be very specific to the cases. And the next one, students, just to make your life even more comfortable and easier, the other area that the examiner is very much interested is a financial analysis. Now, students, financial analysis, what students think is it is complicated. No, I will quickly do a step-by-step video on how to do a financial analysis. So in this case, students, you need to just appraise it to the exhibit and write. And there will be other areas, right? External reporting, students, just for idea. Now you have environmental reporting like e-mass was tested. And then students, you have something effectively like integrated reporting, social governance. So all these things can come into the picture. And also there are chances of situations like culture coming into the picture, and then students corporate governance, which I will be doing in detail so that you will understand it very, very well. And students, please remember, this exam tests not only your memory power, this tests your cognitive intelligence. That is, if a situation is given to you, how you will solve this situation. So that is very, very important. So thank you very much, students. I will meet you up in the next video in which I will be explaining you the professional skills. Thank you, students.